Hi, my name is Liz Mealy, and I'm a candidate this year for Williamsport-City Council. First and foremost, I would like to encourage everyone watching this to make sure to vote on November 3rd. Municipal elections frequently fall by the wayside for a lot of voters. It's hard to get time off, it's hard to get away from your kids to go vote, but your city government has an impact on almost every element of your daily lives, and it's important to remember to go out there and make those decisions about who's governing your city so that you have the best city you can. The office that I'm running for, the office of a city councilwoman, is a pretty demanding position. But on the other hand, it's an interesting position as well. City council works very tightly with the mayor to try and ascertain, assure that we pass legislation and that we approve budgets that are going to do the best for the city in the upcoming year. The primary responsibilities of a city council member are reactionary, so to speak. That is to say, the mayor and the mayor's office and the city administration create the legislation, and city council votes yay or nay on whether or not it passes. But council members have in the past also worked to create legislation, worked to encourage good legislation to come from another quarter, and the council members also sit on various committees and authorities, and in those positions they're able to recommend matters to the full council for action and oversee a little bit more of how the infrastructure of the city and the parking authority and the zoning commission and all those things operate. In terms of my experience, obviously I'm a young woman for a city council candidate in Williamsport. I just turned 30 this year, and despite that, I think that I have a number of experiences that will recommend me for the council position. I was born and raised in Williamsport, and I went to Williamsport schools, went to Brown University when I went to college, and after Brown I traveled extensively in Italy, across the world, and throughout the U.S. before deciding to return to Williamsport when I was 25. I've worked here. This is my mother's restaurant, my mother and my aunt's restaurant, the Peter Hurdick House. You can't see all of it, but it's a spectacular Victorian mansion just inside the historic district, and I've worked here since I was 13. I was fortunate enough when I came back to Williamsport to work my way up in the kitchen, and now I run the kitchen. I'm the executive chef. As the executive chef, I handle a kitchen in a bunch of tough situations. I work in a small space with a lot of strong personalities, and we make incredible food come out to our patrons. And I think that the experience of doing that will be a valuable experience on council, working with a lot of strong personalities, learning to cooperate, learning to get the best from everyone, learning to get the best for your city and for your establishment, as the case may be. I believe will be very strong experiences for me as a councilwoman. I also think that the fact that I am well-traveled will help me as a council person, because while I chose to move back to Williamsport, and while I believe that we have an unbelievable city with incredible opportunities, I have seen the way that other cities operate, and I can bring elements, the positive elements of those other cities back to Williamsport, and hopefully encourage those sort of developments within our city. And of course, the fact that I was born and raised here means that I know the city of Williamsport as well as anyone can, and I hope to bring that knowledge and that passion with me onto council. There are a couple of things that I think that we'll need to work on when I step onto council in January. Downtown revitalization has been an ongoing process for the last several administrations, and we need to keep working on that. I would love to see a large retailer, whether it be Kohl's or someone else downtown. I would love to see small boutique shopping. Our restaurant scene is already fabulous, but it would be wonderful to see even more restaurants and eateries within the center city. But we can't ignore the rest of our city in favor of downtown, and we can't ignore it in favor of the historic district, although I am obviously a very strong proponent of the historic district because I was born and raised here. But I think that the city needs to focus on the development of all of its regions, from Newberry to the East End, focus on the neighborhoods that surround downtown and the historic district, and try to make certain that each neighborhood has a separate identity, a strong identity, a positive identity, and that all the citizens of Williamsport feel as though they are important in the way the city's run. I also think that as a city we need to, as a young woman, I feel that we need to focus more on youth-friendly aspects of the city. We need to be bringing in good-paying jobs so that our kids have a reason to stay here when they graduate from colleges, from high school. We need to keep in mind the interests of young people when we plan our city, and when we try and figure out what's important, what areas are important to accentuate within our city. I think that we need to work on building a stronger and stronger community. The community watch groups that have been started in Williamsport can be quite effective, but you cannot underestimate the importance of community building within a community. If we don't have neighbors who are friendly with one another, if we don't have a city that believes in itself and that believes in the other people, in all the people within it, then that makes us weak. So we need to work on building our community. But I also believe that we have an incredible public safety force in Williamsport already. Codes, fire, and police all are doing a wonderful job. Crime has decreased in Williamsport, and we find ourselves in a very good position with all three entities. But we do obviously and always need to stay right on top of public safety, codes enforcement, and we need to work as a city on our citywide infrastructure, on curb building, on street lights, on matters like that make our city look clean and organized and appealing to everyone who lives in it. And then, of course, you inevitably ask me about taxes, or they have for the website. Under what circumstances, if any, would I vote to raise taxes? As much as no one ever wants to hear this, raising taxes is occasionally necessary, but nobody wants to raise taxes, and nobody wants to pay more in taxes. Williamsport has high property taxes already. We ask a lot of our citizens, and no one wants to see that tax burden grow any larger. The only circumstance under which I think anyone in city government would vote to raise taxes would be to maintain public safety and infrastructure at the absolutely necessary levels for our citizens. But we would only do that after exploring every other option, after bringing in larger retailers, other businesses, seeking to bring additional revenue sources into the city through some other outlet. So, why should you vote for me? You should vote for me because I'm going to bring a fresh perspective to the city of Williamsport. I'm a strong youth voice within the city. I have acted proactively. I've been proactive as a citizen of Williamsport for the last, for the entire time I've lived here, but especially in the last several years since I moved back. I've founded an alternative newspaper in the city. I founded a community garden group with several friends to start community gardening initiatives. I am trying as hard and as best I know how to make the city the best place that it can be, and I'm hoping that the citizens of Williamsport will help me to do that and will allow me to do that as part of City Council. I love this city, and I know that you do too, and I know that all of us want it to be a great place to live. So I appreciate your support on November 3rd.